对不起，没有跟俺说过一句抱歉，人家还搁这呆呆的刷着抖音，我实在不明白这种人。16万，从大家抖音、快手和小视频号扩大一下吧。
So what she said sparked a revolution.
I think I may have seen some bollards.
There were bollards.
Yes.
You can play this out. We don't need to pause anymore. We're just going to turn it down a little bit. But basically what happened was, I'll read it. I'm going to be careful with my words here.
Okay.
But basically, a number 6 middle school in Xuchang, in Hunan. A lot of things happening in Hunan, by the way.
Yes. Look at that hammer and sickle. Wonderful. That's where you want to go to school.
Isn't that nice? In Xuchang, in Hunan, what happened was a middle school student, right?
Yeah.
Did something. Something happened to her. It's self-inflicted. Okay,
not around anymore.
No, she's not around anymore. Okay.
Yeah. Left this mortal coil.
Do you know what happened?
What?
According to her classmates, the head teacher of her, who did the thing, right, was verbally bullied for an entire semester, including
so the head teacher verbally bullied her.
And corporal punishment.
Right.
So on a 40-degree hot day, so we're talking over 100 degrees, right? Fahrenheit. Or around there.
Yeah.
She was forced to run laps in the playground and was locked outside the classroom and not allowed to enter her for classes.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, just for those of you who don't see the footage in the background, you've got students smashing the school.
Yeah, so this is going to make sense as I read it. And then eventually, she did the thing, right? Afterwards, the parents went to the school to discuss what happened. Obviously, it was blocked from the parents. They didn't know what happened to their daughter, right?
We've seen this happen a lot.
A lot, right?
Yeah, if you follow the show, you'll know. Look, the students are like wrecking the computers, wrecking everything, yeah.
The school gave them a bad attitude, didn't give them any answer, right?
Yeah.
It's speculated that woman in the beginning is the mother, okay, telling everyone to spread this around the internet.
Yeah.
The head teacher who started the incident was watching Douyin in his office, so just scrolling TikTok in his office while the incident was happening, while the parents were complaining to the school. Okay. The students were like, "No, justice for our classmate, who lost her life." Right?
Yeah.
They gathered together and completely destroyed the school.
Yeah.
Right. And they were like, "This is enough," right? And this was a grassroots thing because people around the town started to hear about it, and they're like, "Are you kidding me?" And they showed up. China then, and you'll see in a second, brought in the special police, the SWAT. They brought in paramilitary.
Yeah.
They brought in everything to stop this, right?
Yeah.
Not only to stop what was happening to school, but to prevent this from becoming a Tiananmen.
Yeah.
Because this was quickly becoming a very, very scary scenario for the CCP.
Yep.
Because sometimes an event like this is enough to spark an actual revolution.
Yes.
So what happened was the classmates said the girl's family was pretty poor.
Yeah.
And
they're smashing the surveillance cameras.
The kids went wild, right?
Yeah. Was that a projector?
Apparently, according to her classmates, she was pretty unpopular, so the teacher was jealous of her.
Okay.
And would make her run and do all this stuff. The students took notice to like how unfairly she's being treated by the teacher.
Right.
Right. And this was enough to make them go absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
So to see such a nuts response, like people were like, "What's going on here?" They're just taking videos.
Yeah, you can see all the police vans.
Police vans, right?
They've brought in all the special police to control the whole situation. You can see the riot police all lined up there. I'm just going to try to
wait till you
rewind
see
a
the
little
night
bit.
footage.
Yeah.
You'll see better at the night footage.
I know. I just wanted to point it out because this guy's kind of clandestinely filming because he knows he'll get into trouble.
Yeah, they'll arrest you.
Yeah. So you can see they've got riot police lined up at the front gate there. And they're not allowing anyone near the school because obviously they were smashing everything and so on. But yeah.
But when the smashing was completely taken care of, they set up a perimeter.
Yeah, look at all these cops.
They were arresting people that were getting too close. They were removing posts online. They were making sure that every last bit of police presence was there to make people scared as hell to do anything else.
Yeah.
Because again, this wasn't just about kids not breaking glass or whatever.
They're sitting in armored vehicles. That is an armored vehicle,
Yes.
by the way. I've seen these in Shenzhen. They keep them at the border.
They
it's kind
brag
of like,
about them.
It's kind of like a Humvee type thing,
Yeah.
but it's an armored vehicle, and where the police can shoot from on top there and everything. It's got those kind of porthole things on the top, whatever you call them.
Yeah. So what happened was, this is sad. People made these dedications because their posts were getting removed, right?
Yeah.
So what they would do is take drone footage of the school
Yeah.
and play a sad song and then say, like, I realize, after saying goodbye, I realize I'll never see you again. And people outside of China were spreading that on Xiaohongshu,
Yes.
much to the dismay of the CCP. They want everyone to shut the hell up about this
Yeah.
story.
Bollards. Do you see the bollards over there at the front of the
bollards all
school?
over the place.
Especially near schools, you need lots of bollards.
Yeah, because people like to run over children.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a thing. So somebody went back the next day to see what was going on. Completely wiped. Like, there's no evidence that any of this happened, except for a massive police presence now, which is permanently installed.
Yeah, you can see. Look, they've
you'll see.
fenced off that whole area. That you can see. That's where they were smashing things.
Yeah.
Now
So that
it's
people can't see it.
behind the censorship with the police vans are there now.
They're monitoring people to make sure nobody's reporting on this,
Yeah,
talking about it. You have cops everywhere now. Heavy police presence now.
yeah,
And they've really just wiped, kind of like akin to how they used hoses on the blood in Tiananmen Square after the incident, after the massacre.
yeah,
They wiped it clean and made sure no one talked about it.
yeah. Exactly.
We're not seeing a whole lot of people talk about this story.
Well, that's what they do. That's why a lot of people say, like, isn't there going to be a revolution?
Yeah.
Aren't the people of China going to rise up?
So close.
Well, they can't, because this is what happens. Every time it starts, before it can spread, they've already sterilized the scene. They've arrested everybody. They've clamped down. They've whitewashed the whole place, hosed it down. Nobody can see anything happen there.
And then they'll house arrest and permaban the parents of the victims from doing anything about it or saying anything.
Anyone who posts about it online gets silenced. And so, it's basically a fire starts and they put it out.
A good example of this is the Sitong Bridge guy, the guy in Beijing who unveiled a banner.
Yeah,
just
remember
unveiled
that
a banner.
banner,
Like,
man?
you can do that all day in America, right?
Yeah.
Unveiled a banner. It just says they want freedoms and stuff, right? This guy was obviously completely, black bagged forever, right? He's gone, right? But his family, he has a little girl, and his wife are under permanent house arrest in their village, thousands of kilometers away.
Yeah.
And no one's allowed to see or talk to them because he unfurled a banner.
Yeah.
Do you see how China operates?
Yep. Well,
It's effed up.
by the way, this next example that we have here
this is crazy.
is kind of related. Now, where exactly was
Go
this?
ahead and just play it.
Okay.
So this was in Hunan as well. Same
The Hunan
province.
Financial Bureau is on fire here.
Yeah.
And this is related to something else. Okay?
There's a couple things.
Yeah.
This
So
is in Luoyang.
what happened was, what was it? It's a village bank.
Yes, it was called the Hunan Village Bank.
Okay. A lot of people went to go and protest because they couldn't get their money out. And this happens a lot with these.
You should just play the footage.
Yeah,
It's long.
yeah, that's true. So a lot of people went to protest because their money has been, stolen, basically.
Yeah, so it was hundreds of people gathered at first.
Yes.
Because of the Hunan Village Bank. They were shouting slogans, doing all that kind of protest stuff outside of the Hunan Provincial Financial Regulatory Bureau. So
Yes.
CCP jargon for the government building for that.
Yeah, so the village bank stole their money, so they went to the government building that does the regulations on finance to demand answers. Like, hey, listen, we've lost all our money. So here's the insidious part. And this is, again, will show you how China tries to control these things, the Chinese government. These hundreds of people turned up. They're crying. They're demanding their money back. They're demanding the government does something about it.
Right.
And then what happened is, and you can see them all here. They're all there. They decided that they would not allow anyone from outside of that town to stay in the hotels. So if you came from outside, you're not allowed to stay there.
Correct.
It's crazy. So they brought in all these cops. Obviously, you can see them all there to block everyone off again. They always do this to make sure that nobody gets out of hand and that they could control the situation. But then on top of that, to make sure these people didn't stick around, they went to the hotels and forced all the hotels to not allow anyone who's not a local from that city to stay in the hotels, any hotel in the city. So what ended up happening is all these people had to sleep on the streets, because they thought, oh, if we don't let them stay in the hotels, then they'll just have to go.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They stayed on the streets.
Yeah.
And look at that. Can you see those drones?
Yeah.
So they've got police drones monitoring the crowd. They're filming the drones. So they're there monitoring everyone, making sure they know who's there.
Make sure they know who to run over with the tanks.
Yeah, exactly. And who to go and talk to next time and later. This, by the way, you can see the footage was taken on the 27th. So we're talking 3 days ago.
Yep.
And it lasted for about 3 days, this whole thing. As you can see, everybody's,
people lost their entire savings. Their life's over.
This particular scenario plays itself out very often in China these days. Small village banks, they take everyone's money and then they run away with the money.
Yeah.
Okay, and these are banks tied to the government. You would expect that they're going to be, reliable. Because the Chinese Communist Party makes out as if they're incredibly reliable and, like they're going to look after the people.
Every time.
So you're depositing your money in a government-linked bank and you're like, okay, my money's safe. And then you try to withdraw it and they're like, nope. So this is unfortunate, the current reality in China.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show you the whole hotel thing because we've actually got footage of somebody asking a hotel why they won't let them stay here. Listen.
订房间还要是外地人，还要跟领导报备一下。你告诉我什么原因接到不了？
没房间了，接到不了。
我都订好了，我钱都付掉了，怎么没房间？
现在是诚信社会。
你刚才自己说的，外地人要领导请示一下，根本不是没房间的问题啊。
So you heard what she was saying there. It's like you heard
she booked it at the time.
She's like there were rooms, but now they're saying, sorry, there's no rooms for outside YD-ren. We've talked about this before. You get Bindi-ren, YD-ren. So you're either a local or you're an outsider.
Yeah.
So anyone who's not from that little town or city cannot stay in any hotel. So you can see now they're all on the streets with their families, with their little kids and all that kind of stuff, just sleeping on the road. This is how the Chinese government treats the populace.
Yeah.
When they have a complaint or a problem, then they become inconvenient. So now you have to shut them up. So how do you shut them up? You send in all the cops, and then you don't allow them to stay in the hotel, so they have nowhere to go. So they have to sleep on the road. And then the next step is, of course, forcing them to leave, rounding them up, silencing any posts about this online. Try to search about this on the Chinese internet. It's not there.
Good luck.
All you'll see is like propagandists saying how safe it is in China.
And how rich Hunan is right now or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone can get their money all the time. Man, these people literally lost their life savings.
Yeah.
They can't get their money.
Why do you think they're here?
Because there's no financial... Remember, in China, it's a communist country, right? The irony is there's no social programs, no social safety nets, no real welfare system, right? So you have these people that know that the cash they got in the bank, it's all they got because they probably, a lot of them, lost their money on investment properties already.
Yes.
Ghost towns, the thing, tofu drag stuff that never got finished.
Yeah. Rotten tail projects.
They get defaulted. They lose out on their only sound investment. They go, oh shit, let me get my money out of the bank. That's shut off too. Government's running out of money in China.
Yeah.
China's getting very, very, and it's a dire situation, especially with the tariff stuff.
Yeah.
China's in bad shape.
Very bad shape. And you can see this because weekly, I mean, we do show you guys weekly what's going on, but there's so much of this material that we could not even dream of fitting it all into one show.
No.
So that's why we've decided to focus on this and the student protests, because there's unrest everywhere in China at the moment. It's not a very happy place.
No. Yeah, I'd say China's the most unstable I've ever seen it been.
Yeah.
Ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Unequivocally can say that. As you can see, there are little clashes between the cops and the protesters. And again, these are not really protesters. These are citizens trying to get answers from the local government. And you saw the first clip happened after this, by the way, that it was on fire. So somebody obviously was like, okay, screw this, we're going to set the place on fire because they won't answer us.
I saw something on in the chat, people saying, why are they all wearing masks? Too many face diapers and all this stuff. Would you not try to hide your identity?
Yes.
Your life's over if you get caught protesting.
This is
you can't protest.
This is the main reason why they do it. It's because you saw they've got drones monitoring the crowds. Did you see the cops there with their phones? Filming. They're trying to film everybody so that later they can go and detain them and deal with it.
Rather than resolve people's, the fact they can't get their life savings out of the bank, rather than resolve that, they need to make sure they document who complained because they need to go F those people up later.
Correct.
That's the priority of the CCP is social stability.
Yeah, they call these social
Stability management is the new branch of police.
Yeah, stability management personnel. That's what these police are called. Did you notice a lot of them don't have badges or numbers on their jackets? They're just blank.
You know, China's gone full Stasi fascist mode. Like I said, it's a communist country. China's a fascist state, and it operates its secret police very much like the Soviets, kind of mixed with the secret police in Germany.
East Germans,
It's an interesting combo.
It is, yeah. So that's what's going on that front in China. Pretty awful. And, of course, what can you do? These people have no chance and no hope.
I do want to refresh everyone's memory here.
Yeah.
This stuff started in 2022 and it's not been resolved.
Yeah.
It's still happening in Hunan.
Yeah, exactly.
Hunan's got, 90 million people. This is a populated province. This is where Chinese culture comes from.
Yeah.
This is a important place. Zhengzhou is an important city. This is not Luoyang's an important city. This is not some backwater.
Yeah.
Right? This is a financial hub of China.
Correct.
They can't pay their citizens from their own dang bank accounts.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's just like if you went to whatever Bank of America or something, you deposited all your money in there. Yeah, and then you're like, I want to go and withdraw my money, and they're like, no.
Yeah, Zhengzhou's like a Chicago. You go into Chicago, you're like, I need my money. They're like, no.
It's like funds are not available.
And you're like, what am I supposed to do about this? Well, I'm going to go talk to the manager tomorrow. So you go get a hotel, and they go, no, you can't stay here.
You can't stay in the hotel, and we're going to send the police to manhandle you and get you out of here.
And drones will follow you everywhere.
Exactly. So you get the idea. We've got a lot of footage of people that are in, dire straits here. They're in a desperate situation. They're pretending to pass out on the ground because they're upset and they're,
well, I mean, they lost everything. Yeah. It's stressful.
Of course. It's not cool. Nobody wants to be in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, Benito Mussolini defined fascism as the merger of state and corporate power. Quite literally how China is operating.
Exactly. So these big things are going on in China, but all you see coming out of China is, oh, it's such a safe, wonderful place. Look at the lights at night. You don't see what the reality. And two things can exist at once. I said this before. You can have shiny, flashy buildings and poverty and problems and social unrest. They can happen at the same time.
They do.
But you can't only focus on one. You need to be able to look at both, and unfortunately, you cannot see the other side coming out of China.
Why do you think China pumps billions of dollars for you, who are watching this video, to think China's good? Why do you think they need to do that? Well, because when you do that, when you send a TikTok video out and you pay bots to promote it and you get like 100 million people to watch it, then you saw shiny buildings, you're not going to have a negative or a realistic image of China. You don't get to see this kind of stuff.
No, you don't.
That's why it's so important that people get videos out and people like us can put them and give them to you.
I remember you left my spirit, with you high is all I'm feeling. Remember.
You're whipping a gay vampire. You're a Chinese woman, you're addicted to whipping a gay vampire, and your husband left you.
Yeah. 70 men in less than 2 hours, huh?
What the? That's cringe.
What? What? I don't know why I want to cry.
And he says, cry if you want to. Glancing at you, a hint of pain flashed across his eyes.
Okay. What's going on there?
Why accidental Nazi?
Well, he's a Nazi love interest, They look like women.
They literally all look like women.
I'll remember to keep my distance from you next time. Hold me.
Oh my gosh!
It didn't take long.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs.